This meeting is being recorded.
Awesome. Over to you, Pete.
Okay. Well, it's lovely to be here. I'm a big fan of the Data Quality Internship. And so, yeah, super happy to be hanging out with you for the next couple of hours. If you're all comfortable and have got the bandwidth, it would be lovely to just see some faces before we start. Is it good? People okay to turn their cameras on? That's nice. That's nice. Hi, real people. It's nice to see the people behind the names. Okay, cool. All right. Hey, before we start, well done, because Becky published some statistics from your validation in the community team Slack channel today, and you lot are doing an awesome job. Really, really impressive. Like, I can't believe how many projects you validated. It's super cool, super cool. But so this session is on community sustainability tips, tricks, and challenges. So I'll introduce myself, and I'll also ask my colleague Benedicta to introduce herself. She's here too. My name is Pete Masters. I'm working the community team, and I've been an employee at HOT for about 2 years, but I've also been a voting member, a board member. I was very involved in the Missing Maps project at MSF. Been a mapper for like 10 years. I've been a validator. Well, I'm a validator. I'm a pretty bad validator, but I try. So I've been in and around the humanitarian open mapping ecosystem for a long time. My kind of home community is the Missing Maps London community. So we meet a couple of times a month to do mapping, mostly for NGOs, MSF, Red Cross, etc. Benedicta, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so my name is Benedicta Ohinia Amadi. I'm from Ghana and intended with HOT. Yeah, my home OSM country is OpenStreetMap Ghana. Yeah, and I'm happy to join you today. Thank you.
Cool. So we have 24 participants today, which is more than I was expecting, I'll be honest, because there's 2 sessions, but it's super cool. So this session today, as I said, it's on community sustainability, tips, tricks, and challenges, but largely you're not going to hear from me or Benedicta. You're actually going to hear from a whole bunch of OSM community people who contributed to a webinar on tips, tricks, and challenges. So part of this, in fact, let me share my screen and I can follow the slides with you. If someone can tell me when they could see it, that would be great.
It's up.
Okay, great. So we're going to do a quick introduction to the subject. We're then going to just have a little look at the community working group definition of community. Like, what do we mean? Community can mean many, many different things. Like, how does the community working group and the HOT community team define communities that we want to support and accelerate? Then we're going to do a bit of a watch party. So this will be watching a section of a webinar that the community working group organized on tips, tricks, and challenges for community sustainability. And we're going to have a quiz. And then we're going to flip it around. So all of you are involved in OSM. You're all community members in one way or another. So we're going to ask you about your tips, tricks, and challenges, and what community and sustainability means to you, and then we'll wrap up. So first, I've said community working group a couple of times. The full name of this is the Humanitarian Open Mapping Community Working Group, and it's a group dedicated to the support and engagement of community groups and contributors who are trying to have some kind of positive social impact with OpenStreetMap. So this is very much a mix of volunteers, community members and staff. And if you're interested to join, let me just pop the, oops, I'll pop the link in the chat to that one. There we go. You'd be more than welcome to come and join. Oops. Okay, so what do we mean by community when we say community in the context of the community working group and HOT? So first of all, what we're talking about is a self-organized group of individuals, so kind of a grassroots group. Secondly, it's a group that is kind of actively contributing, or maybe will actively contribute to OpenStreetMap or open data, where that data is being collected or added for some kind of social impact, some kind of social humanitarian development use case. And this is kind of the really high level definition. But then I think we also try to break it down into three kind of subcategories. And you can see on the right hand side, this is kind of a Venn diagram. These categories aren't mutually exclusive. So the first is OSM communities in places vulnerable to humanitarian crisis or experiencing multidimensional poverty. In HOT, we refer to these as our priority countries. There's 94 of them around the world. The second is community groups and organizations that are trying to achieve a social impact and either use or could use geodata to do it. So to give you an example, in Namibia, there's a group called the Shack Dwellers Federation of Namibia. This is an association of people who live in informal settlements, and they do a lot of work kind of advocating for better services, better urban planning, to meet the needs of people who live in informal urban settlements. I don't think they disagree when they wouldn't call themselves an OSM community per se, but they definitely collect OSM data. They definitely use OSM data in their work to try and have an impact. So slightly different to the OSM communities who have at least a shared motivation of the map itself. The second group is kind of community groups that want to have an impact, and the map is a useful means to having that impact. And thirdly, it's groups that want to show solidarity with other communities through collaboration, contribution, or support. So the Missing Maps London community would probably fall into this category. So we tend to map for other organizations, other communities. The Validator community is a really good example of this. It has people from all over the world. It's not geographically specific, but they tend to be people who jump in and help others by validating data, by working on different projects. And there's lots of examples of these groups. I'd say the community working group is also an example of this. So before I move on, does anyone have any questions or comments on what we mean by community? If not, we can move on to the next thing. So that's pretty clear. That's good. Okay. Okay, so reminders and house rules. So these are from the community working group. So whenever we do events, these are our house rules. So there's a code of conduct that you can find at hotosm.org/code of conduct. We ask people to be welcoming, be respectful, be careful in your word phrasing and tone. And if we disagree, when we disagree in the discussions that follow this, to try and understand why we disagree and not just be entrenched in a certain position. So be open-minded. Okay, so the community sustainability topic is an interesting one and means lots of different things in different places, as we're going to find out. But this particular webinar was originally prompted by Victor Sunday of the Unique Mappers Network in Nigeria. And he posed the question, we need to address the problem of community engagement with little or no financial incentive or payment. Is this still possible? Can we actually sustain a community of volunteers passionate about humanitarian mapping as a community service, especially among old mappers? And I don't think he meant old as in people like me who've lost their hair. I think he means like experienced mappers who have maybe already learned the basics of OpenStreetMap. So how do we keep them interested, keep them engaged? And so this was a question he asked in the community working group. So as part of trying to, like, I guess, crowdsource a response to this, the community working group organized a webinar so that different communities, different community leaders could share their perspective on community sustainability and what that means. So we're going to spend the next 35. Sorry, I've just seen a question from Derek. Is all OSM groups part of the community working group? The community working group is a collection of individuals who represent various different communities. So anyone can turn up. It really is open. If you follow the link I shared in the chat, you can see that the meetings are open, the meeting notes are open, the forum discussion board that we have is open. So anyone can turn up at all. Are all OSM groups part of the community working group? Not unless they choose to be. So if people turn up, that's the people who are in the group. But it's not exclusive in any way. We have people from all over. And the community working group is a bit different to some of the working groups where there's kind of an expected time commitment. You can drop in and join one meeting or join one discussion on the forum. You don't have to commit a whole bunch of time. So it really is pretty open and inclusive. Okay, so we're going to be watching the community sustainability webinar together. As I said, we're going to watch a section of it. So I'll share this link in the chat and this should take you to the starting point. It's about a 35-minute clip that we're going to watch. So I'll give you a time to be back. I think it's best if you all just like click the link and watch this on your own machines rather than me trying to share the video. Partly because I actually had a power cut this morning and lost all internet connectivity. So if that happens again and I'm sharing the video, everybody loses it. But at least if that happens to me, you still watch it. So we're going to do that. And then afterwards, there'll be a quiz. And, you know, after the end of the quiz, there'll be a winner. And that always feels nice if you're the winner. Okay, so let's pop this in the chat. Any questions before we get started? Everybody understand completely?
I think there's a question in the chat.
Is that Derek's question?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I already answered that one. Derek, are you happy that I answered that okay?
Yes, I'm okay with the answer.
Great, thank you, Derek. Any other questions, any comments before we get started? Otherwise, we can move on to the video. Okay, so here's the link. I'm going to turn off my microphone and my video, but I'll stay on Zoom and keep an eye on the chat in case anyone's having problems. So if you have any problems, please feel free to type in the chat in Zoom. The clip's about 35 minutes long, so by my clock, it's 10:15 UTC. So if we can try and come back together at, let's say, 10:55 UTC, and that gives you a 5-minute buffer in case anyone has a problem. So coming back at 10:55 UTC, microphones, cameras on to show you're here. And I'll see you then. Enjoy the webinar. And don't forget, memory's on because the quiz will test your memory of what you heard. Okay, see you in a bit.
Hi, Pete. Are you playing the video? Because we can't hear the audio.
No, people just click the link and watch it on your own machines.
Awesome.
Okay.
Do you think I should pause the recording? Because it's going to be quiet.
I don't know, Becky. I mean, you can always cut it afterwards, I guess. It's up to you. We'll be back at 10:50 UTC, so you could restart it then. But then unless you can pause it, you could have to stitch it together. So I'll leave it to you.
Awesome.
Something out loud in the microphone,
This
or
meeting is being recorded.
turn on a camera. Let's see who's back. Jen's back. Odilana's back.
For me, I haven't yet finished the recording.
Okay, well, we're gonna carry on anyway, Derek. So you'll have to catch up later.
Okay.
Sangeeta, Karen, Katie, Craig, Daniel. Great. Okay, fantastic. Can everybody put one word in the chat? How did you feel about what you just watched? One word description. Okay, informative, insightful, inspired. Are we only going for words beginning with I, right? Eye-opener sort of begins with I. Meaningful, motivated. We've moved on to the M's. Wonderful. Okay, this is cool. This is cool. So people enjoyed it. That's good. Community, great. Excited. Okay, cool. All right. Well, now we've done a lot of listening, right? So we're going to do some interaction now. So I'm going to apologize straight away. I didn't know how many of you there'd be here. I thought it would be like 15. I thought half of you would be here in the early session, half in the late session. So we've got a quiz, but the quiz platform only allows 20 participants, and there's more than 20 of you. So I apologize. A couple of people aren't going to be able to do the quiz, but the quiz is really short. So you don't miss much. And Becky and Benedicta, please do not do the quiz so that the data quality interns get all the spaces on the quiz. So I'm just going to put the link to the quiz in the chat now. And I think the first 20 people who get in are the people who are going to play the quiz. So this is almost like the competition to be in the quiz, right? Okay, here we go. You ready? I'm going to share my screen again. So I should see on the screen people. Okay, there we go. There we go. I noticed that the first 5 people in there were all women, proving yet again that women have better responses than men. Okay, we've got 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'll wait till it fills up to 20 before we get started. 17, last few spots. Any more? Any more? Any more? 18, Angie? Oh, 17, someone just dropped out. 19, nearly there. Okay. 10 more seconds, then we're going to get started. 20. Okay, cool. Whoever didn't make it into the quiz, apologize. There'll be plenty of opportunity for interaction. Following this, it's going to be pretty quick. So let's get started. Ooh. So I've never used this as a, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so first question's coming. In the hot code of conduct, what's missing? Be welcoming, be something, be careful in your working and tone. So the options there are be respectful, be rude, or be boring. This one's an easy one to start you off. So you just have to click the one that you think is correct. And I think the quicker you click it, the more points you get. Okay, so the correct answer is be respectful. And on the top of the leaderboard is Ere at the moment, who was obviously the quickest person to choose the right answer. Okay, next into the proper questions. True or false? OSM DRC sees purchasing a community car as being key to community success. Quick as you can. 7 answers, 9 answers, 11 answers, 14 answers, 15 answers. Okay, got 20 answers. Okay, the answer, of course, is false. Community car was not the most important thing for OSM DRC. Oh, Are's been knocked off the top spot by AB. Who's AB? Is that a name or is that initials?
It's Anil Basnet. I write it fast so that to get into top 20.
Okay, very tactical. Okay, next one. True or false? OSM Bangladesh believes that money is the power of many communities. True or false? "17 answers. I definitely didn't need to give 20 seconds for these questions. You're very quick. Okay, false. OSM Bangladesh talked about career pathways and getting experience in applying the knowledge that community members learn. So we have, oh, Erin has a streak of 3 correct answers in a row, but Anil is still top. Very speedy on the button. Okay, next question. How many buildings have the MapBex community added to the map? Was it less than 150, more than 6,000, or more than 60,000? Okay, 20 answers in. More than 60,000. Most people got it right. Let's see who got it right quickest. Oh, someone needs to knock Anil off the top spot here. This is becoming a one-horse race. Ray, you're close. Okay, next one. Fill in the blank. OSM Kenya's top tip is to be what in community activities? Is it exclusive? Is it inclusive? Or is it productive? "20 answers, 22 answers. Okay, wow. I don't know how that happened, but let's see. The answer is inclusive, to be inclusive in community activities. Ooh, Sangeeta's flying up the leaderboard there into second. And Neil's still bossing it at the top. Okay. Next one. Which of these did OSM Columbia not list as a top tip or trick? Inclusive decision making, chocolate for community members at mapathons, connecting community values to projects, giving responsibility to community members. "20 answers coming in now. Let's have a look. The answer is, of course, not the chocolate at mapathons, although I've heard it doesn't hurt if you give community members chocolate at mapathons. It just wasn't listed by OSM Columbia. So still got Anil, Sangeeta, and Karen in the top 3. Okay, next up, quiz. What is OSM Brazil, OSM Serra's biggest challenge? Engaging members and bringing new members to the community, cash flow, internet connectivity. Okay, we're at 20 answers. The answer was engaging members and bringing new members into the community. Yeah, well done to those 12 people who got that right. Jen is back in the game with 3 in a row. People entering the 5,000 point mark. Okay, 8 out of 12. What is OSM the Gambia or Youth Mapper's top tip? Localize the map, love the map, or lick the map? "17 answers, waiting for 3 more. Okay, the answer was localize the map. Loving the map helps, licking the map doesn't help that much apparently. Okay, so, oh, Anil's got a big lead going. Array's taken 2nd place. Okay, name one street level imagery collection platform OSM Libya mention. Mapillary, Open Data Kit, and OpenStreetCam. Okay, so there was 2 correct answers. They mentioned Mapillary and OpenStreetCam. So if you got either of those, that's great. If you put Open Data Kit, that wasn't correct. Jen and Array are just, mixing it up in 2nd and 3rd place there. Okay, on we go. Penultimate question. How many volunteers engage with CrossMap? 20,000, 200, 2. That's answers coming in very quickly on this one. The answer is 20,000. They have a big community. Array still 2nd place back. Anil, you're doing really well, but 2nd place is really where the excitement is here. Although I think it's getting pretty close at the top there. Okay, true or false? Last one. Map Uganda have created an internship program for students interested in GIS. True or false? Okay, we have 20 answers. The answer was true. They have multiple internship programs. I think they're now on their 4th or 5th. So here we go. This is the tips, tricks, quiz podium. In 3rd place, we have Karen. In 2nd place, we have Array. And top, we have Anil. Woo!
Yay.
Okay, Anil, do you want to turn on your video, take a bow? Everybody else turn on your microphones and a little clap. Well done, well done, well done. Great. Okay, cool. I hope that was enjoyable. Right, so now we're going to flip it around, as I said. So we've done the quiz, and I want to now just make a point. So in this session that we're doing today, the experts in the room is everybody. So we all have experience of being in communities. So there's no one expert. It's not me, it's not Benedicta, it's not Becky, it's not Anil for winning the quiz. Like, everybody's an expert. So everybody's opinion is really important here. And I'm sure everybody has perspectives on the questions that we're going to discuss. So we have just under an hour. The next bit's going to be much more open discussion. And we're going to brainstorm our own tips, tricks, and challenges for different aspects of community building. So I'm going to put a link to a Jamboard in the chat. There we go. If you can click on that and just make sure you can access it. I'll pause for a minute just to make sure people can. It looks like people are getting in there. Okay, anyone having any problems? No, everybody okay? All right, cool. So we're just going to start off and we're just going to take 10 minutes individually. I don't know if you've used Jamboard before, so let me just show you more or less how it works. So at the top here, you can flip between different slides. So right at the beginning is this one, and this was the original Jamboard from that webinar session that we used in the discussion afterwards. If you flip to number 3, this is actually the kind of discussion from the data quality interns from 2021, so your predecessors. And then if you skip to 5, you'll see there's an empty board. And we're looking at slide 5 and slide 6. So slide 5 is please share one tip, trick, or challenge in starting a local OSM community. Second one is please share one tip, trick, or challenge in sustaining a local OSM community. So there's 2 questions for you. We'll take let's take 5 minutes and put some answers on the board, and then we'll see how we're doing. If we need a bit longer, that's okay. And the way you use a Jamboard, so you can either double click on one of these sticky notes, put your answer, and then put your name, or you can go to the left-hand side, this menu, this one in the middle that says sticky note, you can do that, and you can do the same thing, and that will just pop up on the board. So 2 different ways that you can do that. If anyone, are you on view only, are you? Okay, that's not good. Good catch. Thank you, Mark. Okay, should now, can someone confirm that you can now edit? Can people edit now? Okay, great. Okay, yeah, you might have to refresh your browser. Okay, cool. So 5 minutes. So I'll turn off my camera and microphone, and we'll come back together at 11 minutes past the hour. And if you have any problems, put something in the chat or just open your microphone. I'm still sitting here. But yeah, look forward to seeing what you come up with. Can I just check, because I can't see many sticky notes being added. Are you all able to edit the board now? Oh, I think they're starting to appear now. Sorry, maybe I'm just being a bit impatient. If anyone can't edit the board or add a sticky note, do shout in the chat or on microphone. Okay, and maybe we'll have maybe let's say another 5 minutes so we can move on to the next one on sustaining a local OSM community. We haven't got much on there yet. So till 16 minutes past. So again, you just click the little arrow at the top of the Jamboard to move on to the next question. These are really great, by the way. Okay, 3 more minutes. This is some great stuff. Two more minutes. Okay, cool. This is great. Thanks so much. I've sort of clustered them, the tips, tricks, and challenges a little bit, and I'd just like to talk quickly through how I read like your inputs, and then I'd like to open the floor for you to share your experiences. So on the slide 5 here, we've got some like a kind of five or six, 7 challenges, specific challenges related to motivation, to travel times and kind of how local something is, to managing local communities, again, motivation here, so that's similar to that one. Walter, I'm going to come back to this one and ask you what you mean, because I didn't quite understand that one. And then there's definitely 2 here on trainers and kind of technical skills, which are both challenges. Over here, we've got a couple of tips from Kingsley and Gorak. And apologies if I'm pronouncing any of your names wrong. Please do correct me when you open your mics. On understanding motivations and different ways of motivating community members. Again, this one from Karen is similar. Then I thought there was an interesting group on the right-hand side here around project work, or real, like, the use of OSM data, that it's not just being created so that there is a map, but so that the map is used for something that connects with people. And then I thought there was an interesting kind of group in the bottom right here that was about people. So Jerome talks about involving people from various related fields, people that are enthusiastic around GIS, but also open data, open source philosophy, people with mapping passions. And then there's a comment here which I think is really good: clear vision and motivation with the skilled leaders to lead a community, from Vivek. I think community leadership is a very real thing, and I think anyone can play a leadership role in a community, but it's important and it takes effort and energy, and that should be acknowledged. And then there's one more here around kind of plugging into student groups and youth. And then the last one was an interesting one from Jacqueline on kind of coverage and the maybe people who aren't represented on the map. So it's not quite like use case, but it's more representation, which I thought was really interesting. So do you mind, Walter, do you mind if I pick on you to start with? Because I think yours is interesting, but I don't want to misunderstand it. So maybe you could explain what you mean for us.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. So let me just turn on my camera. What I was referring to is you realize that let me use the best example of Kenya, the OSM community with Kenya, where I'm the community coordinator. Most of the members who've joined have joined through other organizations. Maybe we are at a conference, a job-based conference. That's when we kind of get few people to join. So they are joining not because we've reached out to them, but because they've had it mentioned in another organization or another institution. When we are having mapathons at Red Cross, we have to make sure we are there representing OSM Kenya. That's when people are like, okay, that is OSM Kenya. And what does it, if Red Cross can recognize OSM Kenya or OSM, then people want to join. But if I go around just telling people, yeah, we have OSM Kenya, of course they'll be like, we are used to you. You're just the normal guy we've schooled with. We don't trust, kind of more of trust. So they really, it's more of recommendation from other big organizations. So that is what I meant.
Okay, that's super interesting. So it's kind of you're kind of talking about building coalitions around the map and the data that are wider than purely the OSM community. If I'm interpreting that correctly, which I think is super interesting. I'm going to open the floor. Would anyone like to respond to Walter's point or pick up on one of the other points that they find interesting? Open microphone if you want to speak, or put your hand up, or whatever you feel most comfortable with. And if people don't put their hand up, I'm going to pick on people. So you will eventually speak. Okay, well, Anil, as punishment for doing so well in the quiz, I'm going to ask you next, pick a theme or a card here and maybe something that connects to you, maybe something you have experience of, maybe something that inspired you. Let's hear from you. And if you can turn on your camera, that would be great.
Okay, I have turned on my camera. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can see and hear you.
Should I pick? Can I explain about my own?
You
idea
absolutely
or-
can. You can choose whatever you'd like to talk about.
Okay, I think I should choose my one. In I will sharing from my personal space. That is what we have been doing in Nepal. That point of view. Actually, in Nepal, we see when we start when we when we train some students or people about OSM in the beginning, they contribute in huge numbers, but later on they just disappear. I think we only in that case we only focused on creating data. We only taught them we are creating data only, but sometimes we become unable to explain how this data will be used. We only focus on quantity, digitizing more numbers of buildings and like that, but we sometimes become unable to explain that even if we draw a single building in a correct place, that could be more efficient. So I think we are unable to explain from data use point of view. So we should be more focused on that from creation to use. I think in that point we should focus.
Okay, nice. Thanks, Anil. So Walter talked about
For me, yes, for me, what inspired me is I wanted to contribute the world, but I did not have money to travel to the various parts of the country. So I looked for something which I can do through online. Yeah, that's why I love mapping, because I can contribute to the various countries. Well, I'm in my community. So that's what I do like in mapping.
Great, thank you, Derek. So Walter talked about coalitions and people coming from different places, and interacting with OSM. And Neil's talked about use cases being maybe a better driver of kind of contribution than kind of quantitative goals. And Derek's talked about the importance of online for accessibility, like geographical accessibility, but also the ability to travel internationally through mapping. So 3 really good points. Mark, I assume you'd like to speak because you've turned your camera on? Maybe I got that wrong. Okay, maybe not. Anyone else want to pick up the microphone? You can respond to any of those 3 points and discuss, or you can pick something new to talk about. Now, Mark, you're back.
Yes, good evening from the Philippines. I would have to pick my own sticky note here. So what I said was, or what I contributed was to involve people from various related fields, and related to what the others have already said or mentioned. In starting a local OSM community, there is actually a need to not only start with people who have, should I say, similar tracks or fields, but there should be some who have different areas where they are experts on, so that the community would be diverse, and so that whenever there are challenges, they may be able to answer or solve that challenge, because they are made up of diverse people or diverse backgrounds. Thank you.
That's cool. Thank you, Mark. Kind of one of the key rules of good innovation is to have like lots of diverse perspectives and skills working on a problem, right? So I guess it fits with that. just to share an experience from the Missing Maps London community. So very early on when we were running mapathons, we introduced lightning talks. So that after the mapping was done, we'd have half an hour where anybody at all could stand up and talk about whatever they liked, really, as long as it was related to open mapping, OpenStreetMap, like using OpenStreetMap. And that was always my favorite bit of the mapathons, because it was like, look at all these different types of people. Like one's an academic, one works for an NGO, one's a community person, you know, one works in the National Health Service. So yeah, I think that's a really powerful point. I'm going to ask if maybe we have a next person that could be female. We've heard from 4 men so far.
So can I actually talk about my own points?
Okay, you can, Kingsley. We're going to come back. We're going to have a woman contributor next. So Kingsley, you can go first.
All right. I talked about getting volunteers to understand your goal and motivation. In aspect of understanding goal, I think one of the challenges in starting local OSM community is getting people understanding what you're talking about, getting people understand the importance of the local community, getting people understand the importance of the data, because sometimes if you are trying to get people understand, it seems so hard, because sometimes if they don't really understand why the importance of the local community or the importance of the data you're providing, it's really difficult to carry them along. But if you get them understand the importance, it is easy to replicate your vision. It is easy to replicate your mission, because if the volunteer understand it, it will be easy to carry out or achieve your goal. And another aspect is motivation. Sometimes, you know, we are talking about local communities. It's all about volunteering. And in sometimes, if you're actually volunteering and it looks like the people you are working with are not really getting the motivation they need, it's actually become a challenge in starting a local community. And the motivation can come in divergent way. It can be monetary aspects. It can be recognition, it can be inclusiveness. So if such things like in local community to actually be an issue. So one of the challenges getting to understand different types of motivation you can use to drive local community. Thank you.
Thanks, Kingsley. I think that's really interesting, and it echoes kind of what the Sawan from OSM Bangladesh talked about, where in the Bangladesh community, what they found was a lot of the community members, they really wanted career pathways. They wanted to apply skills that they were learning kind of theoretically in order to have better prospects for jobs, for careers. So I think that's one example of a type of motivation that, you know, can be addressed. Okay. Who wants to go next? I'm maybe gonna have to pick on somebody. Can we have Annalena? Annalena, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Angela. Okay, great. Go for it.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody.
Hi.
Well, I don't really have much experience with OSM community, but one of the challenges that I faced with my student chapter was trying to make my students as interested in mapping with OSM as I was, which was very hard. But as time went by, we tried to make them performing some activities such as GIS and brought in a bit of mapathon just like the other youth mappers. And I now have a good number of students interested, but then we're still trying to instill more skill and interest in the map in the map.
And What's I assume, are you a lecturer or a teacher, or are you a student?
I'm a graduate.
You're a graduate, okay. So what's worked and what hasn't worked so well for you in that kind of student environment?
Well, we tried doing mapathons, like I said, and the turnout wasn't so good. But here and there, we tried to entice them with a bit of airtime. Say you map, you get a bit of airtime to invest for the bundle that you're going to spend. Call out the planners, tell them, say the OSM data is actually good quality, can be used for your project that you're working on in your final years or across your studies for the urban regional planning. And
Yeah.
so far, so good.
Okay. It's super interesting to me because like the reason OSM exists is exactly that, right? It's like people who are like, well, I need geodata to do my work, to do my project, and I can't afford to buy it, so I'm going to have to make it. And then OSM came along and all those people jumped on it. Here's the means. Here's the means to like, you know, do that thing. That's really interesting. Thanks, Angela. Good luck. Okay. Anyone else with student or youth experience? Okay, I'm going to pick on somebody else then. Ere, Turkey, long travel times. How have you tried to like, I don't know, have you tried to work this out? Have you gone online for the Derricks of the world? What have you tried for this?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, I am Eray. I mean, it's an important face-to-face meeting. It's improve the connection to local community, and maybe our community is lazy. They don't want to travel longer travel times. And they say we don't want to travel travel, and it's important for well, short distance, and then we can't meeting all time.
Yeah. So the difficulty of not being able to organize loads and loads of super local meetings, but also people not wanting to travel.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody share this experience or have an idea of how they've solved it in the past?
Okay, I will share about my experience. All right. Last Saturday, we are the Indonesia community have a big event for meeting up to all the community who use the OSM data. So I think that means a lot for engage the community in the local community to engage to know each other, to share what they do with OSM data. So we meet so much people that can contribute with their community with OSM data. So I think that means a lot for OSM to have this meeting even at the catch up even for the local community regularly. So So that's really help us to know each other that, oh, this OSM data can be used for this sector, or OSM data can be used for name it mitigation disaster, or name it the OSM data can be used for the government sector. Or maybe OSM data can be used for what we call it Wikimedia use for the OSM sector. So the meeting, the meet up, catch up, or reaching all the community is very important for us to make all the local community engage and strong the OSM community, of course. That's
Okay.
it.
Can I ask you a question, Rizky?
Yes, please.
How do you get people who are OSM users to come and share that experience? Do you identify people and then invite them specifically, or are they already part of the community? How do you do that?
The event that I attend last Saturday just held by OSM, let's say OSM Asia Pacific Hub. They arrange all the community, they reach all the community, part of all the community to come to Jakarta and share what they have to make with the OSM data, or what they have to contribute with the OSM data. So at the time, we all know that, oh, this OSM data used for a very huge using for any sector, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. I think that's interesting, as it kind of takes us on to a little bit some of the answers in the sustaining an OSM community, because I think regular and like scheduled activities was mentioned a couple of times by different people. So not just in terms of meetings, but projects, they're always being something that people know they can engage with, they can go to. I think that's an interesting one. Who would like to go next? Shabani, please.
Yes, PT. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah. For my side, of OpenStreetMap, and in order to make organization to be sustainable, a local OSM community to be sustainable, I will. First of all, you have to make a sense of ownership. I mean, participation to the community, community members. Yeah, so if you needed to make something to be sustainable, you have to make a sense of ownership to the local community. So the community will believe that this kind of project or this kind of local organization have to have an impact to our society. And I believe that every community have its own problems. And if you going to that community and show, I mean that you have to show them how you can be able to solve their problem. But what we need here, we need their participation. So people will make some sense of ownership that what we are doing now, it is going to finish, or to remove the kind of problem that we face. So people will start to make a sense of ownership, and then your organization or the organization will be more sustainable.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. kind of ownership over the problem or the challenge that you're trying to address with the data. And it reminds me also of what Natalia from OSM Colombia said in the video about shared responsibility, so ownership over the community, like people, the responsibility for maintaining and sustaining the community is not sitting with one or two people, but it's shared. I like the idea of that ownership idea. That's nice. Thanks, Shabani.
Okay.
Okay, we have just under 20 minutes left. Who else would like to give an opinion? Ake, can I ask you, like we had a one-to-one a couple of weeks ago. You've got some interesting thoughts. Are you available to open your mic and camera?
Yes, I'm here. So, can I choose?
You can talk about something that somebody else has talked about. You can respond to somebody else's sticky note. You can talk about a sticky note you added. Anything on community building really is, yeah.
Okay. I can talk with the in-person marathon meetups and with food. So it is a good tips to bring together people that have been involved online or during trainings. It is good to have those marathon in person, so we can meet, discuss, and that bring more. It is more friendly and create an environment that push those persons that are not involved to be frequently engaged around the OSM in the country.
Nice. So you're talking about in-person mapathons, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we've had that a couple of times now, the importance of the face-to-face contact, even though, as Ere raised, like that has its own challenges in terms of like travel and distance. But yeah, it's an interesting one. An experience again from the Missing Maps London. So Missing Maps London community has been running events since 2014, so for a long time. And there's a core group of community members who organize these events. And obviously when COVID happened in the UK, we had many lockdowns, and so the event went online, but that core group continued to organize them. But an interesting thing that even though now there isn't a lockdown, the group hasn't gone back to in-person. And the reason is because during the lockdowns, we had so many people join us from other countries. So we had regular community members attending from Nigeria, from Peru, from Germany, who wouldn't be able to come to the in-person version, that it stayed online. But it is still the same core group of people who knew each other from face to face that organize it. So I think there's an interesting balance maybe between the online and the offline. Thank you, Ake. Who's next? How about Sangeeta?
My one tip is to sustain local OSM community is that we can conduct programs from by this involving community from different world, so that they can share their what they were doing, and what they are planning to do, and what they have achieved till now, so that another community can learn from that, and they can replicate those programs in their own local community. Yeah, that's
Interesting. So kind of what we're doing, what we try to do with the webinar, you
Yeah.
think more of that would be helpful? Thank you, Sangeeta. If you're interested, the community working group is a good place to come to hear from other people in other communities and how they're responding to challenges. I'm just gonna share something with you a second, because there's maybe an interesting, there's a webinar on Friday this week, which just is very relevant for this conversation. So I'm just going to grab the link. One sec. I should have looked for Benedicta's Twitter because she's been tweeting it a lot. Where is it now? Benedicta, would you mind grabbing the link for the webinar on Friday and posting it in the chat?
Sure.
Thank you. It's very relevant for what we're talking about now. Thank you, Sangeeta. Let's go to Jen.
Hi.
Hi, Jen.
I'm not too sure what happened to my sticky note. It was here, but now it's disappeared. But one of the things that I said was like certificates can go a long way, especially like if you are trying to attract, you know, more university students and those kind of initiatives to be like, oh, this is something you can put on a CV, and having that sort of competition with leaderboards, and other kind of fun initiatives like, you know, next time we have a Napathon, bring a friend. So just small things like that.
Nice. So kind of like micro tips.
Yeah.
Like little initiatives just to boost the atmosphere.
Yeah, because I know a big challenge with one of the University Youth Mappers chapters here in South Africa was, you know, students come and then they graduate and then no one takes on that leadership role from, you know, the next year on, and it just kind of falls apart. So that's usually one of the challenges, is like continued leadership.
Okay, nice. So I guess the message there is, if you are a community leader, part of your job is to grow the next community leaders and make space for them. Okay, nice. I like that. Thank you, Jen. How about, Odilana, you've turned your camera on. Hi.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, just like everyone have said, for continuity and active participation of OSM community, starting off a community outside university where I graduated from as a reference. That's the Youth Mappers chapter in University of Lagos. At the time when it was newly inaugurated, we had this gap.
Ajilana, I'm going to ask if you mind turning your
nothing was.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, if you can turn your camera off, that'd be great, because we're losing a little bit of what you're saying.
Okay, how about now?
That sounds better.
All right. Yeah, so at the time, there was this gap. We weren't doing things. We were not participating in activities. So I suppose then it was probably because no active engagement in terms of participating in trainings or available things to participate things. So probably when things like that are being set, clearly they have something to participate in, to be able to train anything that can to their OpenStreetMap account to contribute to something. And like other sets to incentives, data, things like that can also make students want to participate and keep coming back. And because of the issue of data and internet and all of that. So those things will motivate them to keep coming back and participating. So basically motivating them, engaging them, and also ensuring that they keep it on, they pass it on to the next PT or beginners, that for people that are already getting better continuity. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna try and repeat what you said, Ojulana, because the sound wasn't great. I just want to make sure we got it. So I think you were talking about student community groups and kind of a lack of engagement, and that you found that kind of diversifying the training and the use case really helped, but also that encouraging the more experienced mappers to take on a kind of a mentorship role or a leadership role in order to bring new people in was also good. Is that kind of correct?
Yes, actually, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 8 minutes left. Probably time for 2 or 3 more points. Who hasn't spoken that would like to speak? And just to echo what Benedicta said, the link for the webinar on Friday is in the chat. And please share. Anybody at all can come. So please share with your communities, with your friends, and yeah, bring as many people as you like. The webinar is on generating and promoting open data. So it's a Skillshare and discussion. Yeah. And in fact, one of the speakers, Lakshmi, is a former data quality intern. So you'll be with friends.
So
Okay.
Katie, I guess.
Hello. Yes, go ahead.
So I was just wondering, I just came up my mind that for the community engagement, why not this like collaborate with some universities, because they are letting some grants for the universities, and like so they can contact with the universities and they can form a small organization in the university. Like I'm currently from Nepal and I'm engaged in Kathmandu University as a geomatics engineer. So I have my departmental club as geomatics engineering society. So our club also applies for grants, and yes, I guess we have got 2-3 grants from the HOT. So our community is engaged because as I'm in the 3rd year now, most of us like 1st year, 2nd year, and 4th year, like kind of leadership, we have been developing our leadership as a, and we have been a project leader as HOT is providing. So kind of we have went for the field verification of the for the data quality. Yep. So yeah, you are giving us lots of opportunity, you are investing on us, but why not create an atmosphere that you could like collaborate with the university and make a small organization. And like I think Jane said that that's a kind of and for the engagement, like I'm now here, so I can be something head of the my college from my side, hot head, and after my tenure ends, someone will take the lead. So in this case, when I'm the leader, it's my responsibility to attract more contributors to the OSM. That's my responsibility. And when I'm done with my job, the one who leads the community shall do much more than that I'll be doing. So that creates an atmosphere of community engagement as a whole. And as a local community, I can talk to the government. to collaborate, and I can also leave a mark that OSM is an open data source and that can be used by government as well.
Yeah.
So my point is that for the community engagement, you could like collaborate with some universities so that the process goes on and on for the future new contributors, and they may be more enthusiastic.
I think it's a good point, Gorak, but I do wonder like how much there's an overlap with youth mappers there, because we have a lot of youth mappers representatives in the group. As I understand it, this is kind of what the first part of what you said around the collaborating with universities. This is kind of the youth mappers, their purpose almost. The bit around government, I kind of see maybe that's more suitable role for HOT to engage with local communities. But I think there's a big overlap with what youth mappers do. Sorry. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just I'm just giving a point of view. Feel free to answer.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I think I think one of the things that we hear quite a lot is that it's really important for organizations like HOT, like OSM Africa, like the OSMF, like, you know, even like MSF and the Missing Maps crew, to invest in the strength of local communities. Like everybody's in a better position where there's strong local OSM communities. But I do think there's a point that kind of that network needs to be a distributed network and not a network where we create lots of dependencies. And I'm just saying this to illustrate the point, like if Youth Mappers exists and HOT exists and OSM Africa exists, for example, and the Open Mapping Hub in Latin America exists, like these are all good nodes in the network. And so relying on any one node for too many things does create a dependency, which doesn't make a network strong. It might make that node strong. So just interesting to think about that. We've got 2 minutes left. So would anyone like to make a final point, a final quick point? I know we haven't heard from a lot of people. This is a big group. So Jacqueline, Anissa, Pragya, Frank, Manish, I think Divya. If you'd like to make a final point, you're more than welcome. Jafet. If not, maybe I'll just take the opportunity to say thank you. So next time we have a community working group meeting, I will share your insights back to the community working group. Obviously, the Jamboard stays to be a resource for other communities. And thanks so much for your engagement and your and your discussion and your perspectives. It would be lovely if, as at the beginning, we could turn our cameras on at the end and just wave at each other and say thanks. It was really great to hear from you all.
Oh, thank you.
It's funny, I know so many of you by name or username, but I've never seen you before. Cool. Keep doing the good work you're doing. Thanks so much, and look forward to seeing you soon in another session.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Benedicta. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye-bye.